So we got these new Graces in. These are the 2023 Tour Series Graces, the Kristin Tattar ones. And these come out at 11 o'clock today, by the way, apollodiscgolf.com. And we got them in 4 different colors, and they feel great and look pretty dang stable. And I've actually never thrown these like Kristin Tattar Orbit Graces. And the question I've always had is how overstable are these Graces? Because I've heard they are generally more overstable than stock versions. But here's the thing. As many of you know, I throw Wraiths. With Wraiths, you can get the Halo Wraith, and this thing is actually pretty dang overstable. And this isn't even like a rare one. This is like one of the newer ones, I think, from last year. And these are great wind fighters. So I've always wondered, like, can you get a Kristin Tattar one that's as overstable as a Halo Wraith, or do you need to go to another mold? So that's kind of what I'm wanting to look into today. Like today is actually a pretty good day because the storm's coming in tonight. So in April, and in Kansas in April when the storm's coming in, it's windy. So I'm gonna try to find the most overstable color of these and compare it to, I've got the 2022 Tour Series one, and then I have the normal stock Grace. This one's a great flyer overall. It's like a little understable, but it doesn't completely turn over. Then I have this one. This one's actually a really stable run of stock Grace. So this is like a little bit of a dome, and it looks similar dome to these. So I'm wondering if this will be as overstable as these. And then of course I've got my Halo Wraith and then my overstable stock Grace Wraith. This one's similar to the gray Wraith, the gray Grace that I have. But we need to find out which ones of these is going to be the most overstable, and to do that, we're going to look at the parting line heights. Now, if you don't know what the parting line height is, it's basically like where the top and bottom plate meet. It leaves a little line on the rim here. And when you're looking at like the same mold of a disc, you can look at the parting line heights, and that's like the easiest way to kind of see which one's more overstable. The higher the parting line height, the more overstable it is. And it does not take much. It could be like half of a millimeter higher and it would be more overstable. So like these 2 Graces, this purple one and the gray one, this gray one is like the slightest bit taller than the Grace. It's very hard to see on camera, but like is the slightest bit taller. So this gray one here is more overstable than the purple one. So when I looked at like each of the different colors, between each color, so like all the teal ones, they all have like pretty similar parting line heights. They're all very close to each other. So then I went and looked at the different colors, and between the blue and the teal, I would say that like the teal might be a touch taller than the blue one here, like a touch. So they're pretty close here. So I'm gonna take the teal one over the blue. Then I grabbed a pink one, and comparing the parting line heights of the teal and the pink, this one's a little bit more noticeable, but you can see that the pink one is a little bit taller than the teal. Again, I don't know if you can see this super well on camera, but then if you go look at the black ones and the pink ones, these two are almost identical on the parting line height here between the pink and the black. It's going to be very, very hard to tell. I'm leaning towards the pink one because I think it might be like a touch taller, but also like the pink is, you're going to be able to see it on camera more, and for the thumbnail it'll pop more. So that YouTube life, am I right? So yeah, so now that we got the Grace picked out, let's grab these discs that we're going to compare and head out to the course. And we've got nice 25-mile-per-hour winds out here. So these will be great for testing how overstable these Graces are. Now let's start with comparing them against the stock Grace and the 2022 Grace. So these new 2023 Graces compared to the 2022 ones, they are very close to each other. They hold up pretty well into winds, but not like beefy holding up. So like this hole 7 Shawnee Mission, I filmed it a lot. It was a crosswind, about 20 to 25 mile per hour winds left to right. So it was like some of the worst winds you can throw in. And my like stable stock one, the gray Grace, it definitely turned over in it. And it like turned over and never really came back. Like it came back a little bit, but not significantly at all. It more just like flattened out and gave like a touch of finish at the end. Both Orbit ones held a lot better. So they both turned, and actually with the 2022 Grace, I accidentally put a little bit of Anheuser on it and the winds picked up. They were about 30 mile per hour left to right winds. So that one didn't have a chance. But it actually it turned over a lot, granted, because I put an Annie on it, but it actually it fought out and came back at the end. And it absolutely crushed. Like this hole is 362 off of the tee, and I was probably about like 40 or 50 past. Granted, it was down the hill, so it was like a downhill throw, but it was absolutely smashed in that winds. It went very long ways. The pink one, I think, held pretty similarly. Like, it still turned over, but instead of like completely turning over, it more like drifted to the right rather than completely turning over, and it fought out at the end. So it was a very nice flight, and granted, I was throwing these flat just so I could see like what they do in like not great situations. Most of the time when you're throwing these in headwinds, you're gonna be wanting to throw hyzer anyways. Like, if you're throwing flat into headwinds, you've got to have a very beefy disc. Because I even got like my Overstable destroyer, and this one I threw flat. I might have actually put a little bit of anhyzer on it, and even this one, the winds picked up to about 30 mile per hour. This one turned more, but this one definitely fought out more than the Grace, but this is also fights out more than my Halo Wraith anyways, so a better comparison would be like an Overstable Rive for that one. But these next holes are going to be open, so we can look at how these compare truly against the Halo Wraith. So it has definitely gotten significantly windier now, and we're out in the open, so this will be really fun to test against the Wraiths to see just how overstable these are. But first, I want to tell you about the new Patronauts. We have started a Patreon for Apollo Disc Golf, and it's called the Patronauts. And if you become a Patronaut, you can join our Discord community as well as get discounts on the store depending on your tier that you choose. It is really windy out here. Hold on. Yeah, we'll also be having an extra video every month, and I actually filmed the video for this month yesterday. We have a new course out here called Black Hoof Park. Eric McCabe designed it. 10,000 foot wooded course. I played it blind first time, and I didn't even warm up, so it was brutal. That is not good. That is not out. So if you want to see me suffer through the woods, it wasn't as windy as it is today, but become a Patronaut, you'll get access to it. And the other benefits will be listed on the page. I'll have a link in the description. Let's just get throwing. Yeah, it's definitely like 30 miles per hour right now, at least. So I'm gonna have it a little bit wider than normal just so you can see like where it goes. So I don't know where it's gonna go. So I decided to finish this video inside the car, so hopefully it doesn't echo too much, because it's gotten significantly windier. It's probably like 35 miles per hour or 40 miles per hour winds right now. So it's not the best to test these, but it was still a good example of what these discs can do in the wind, and like what level do you need to step up to more disc. Because all of these, like they all turned over in the wind. Now the surprising thing was that they didn't actually like completely turn over and turn and burn. Like the first throw I threw this pink one, it was pretty bad and it turned and burned, but like if you throw it correctly, throw it on hyzer, and I got like a good angle on it and I threw it clean, it actually like it definitely turned like fully over, but it came back at the end, and in like 30-35 mile per hour winds, that's pretty impressive. I didn't bother throwing my stock Graces because those would definitely have just maybe turned into a roller. So, but compared to the Halo Wraith, it was interesting. I threw this on hole 7, the first hole I threw on, and this definitely like didn't turn at all when these Graces turned a little bit. So this was definitely more overstable. Out in the open though, when it got really windy, this one I threw, I didn't give it like a ton of height, but it kind of rose up with the angle I threw it on. And this actually, like it turned a little bit more, but it finished straight, when this just like finished more right than the blue one. So maybe the blue one's a touch more overstable than the pink, but they are still really close. Like the only way I could tell a difference was in the 30 mile per hour winds. But this Halo Wraith was actually like really close to the blue one. Granted, I think that I threw this one a little less clean than the blue one. The blue Grace, I think I threw it a little cleaner. I think that's why these two were very close. The Wraith might have turned a little bit more, but because it turned more, the Halo Wraith actually went further than this blue Grace, and the pink Grace actually went the furthest. Like it went over 400 feet. granted, again, it's like crosswind, so it was like max distance stuff, so I can't throw 400 feet. So I would still say that like the Halo Wraith would give you the most control and overstability in like 20 to 25 mile per hour winds. Once you get over 30 to 35 mile per hour winds is when you need to step up to a more overstable disc. So something like an Enforcer or a Rive. I don't know how overstable Rives get. You can get overstable destroyers. I have this destroyer here. Some of you might freak out that I'm throwing it, but surprisingly enough, this is the newest destroyer that I own. Although my other destroyers are older than this one. Like I had to throw these on a lot more hyzer to get them to fly stable. This one I threw like normal, what I would throw my Wraiths at, like with no wind. So like I throw with like a little bit of hyzer, but not like aggressive hyzer like I had to do with the Graces. And this one flew like a normal disc. So like this one gave me the most control. So regardless if you're throwing Graces or Wraiths, when you get to this kind of wind, you need to disc up to these anyways. When it gets to mild winds, like 20, 25, I think the Halo Wraith is gonna be give you a little bit more control over a Grace. But like I said, the Graces absolutely crushed. On the previous hole 7, both Graces outdrove the Wraith. Like I could easily switch to Graces and be a happy camper. Don't tell Anthony I said that though. You can tell Jonathan I said that. I want to be on his good side. But yeah, these new 2023 Graces, they drop on today, actually, at 11 o'clock Central Time. I'll have the link in the description, as well as a link to check out the Patronauts for those interested. And if you're wanting like tips on how to play well in the wind, not just like headwinds make your disc turn right and tailwinds make it more stable, like more advanced tips on how to play well in the wind, like strategy, what to throw, then I have a video about that, and I'll link it here. Because here in Kansas, we have a lot of experience playing in that kind of wind, especially when you play in the GBO coming up in Emporia. You'll get experience in this kind of wind probably. So thanks so much for watching. See you in the next one.